Hey math friend, if you look back on this past school year and you're feeling a little discouraged because you know that you had a group of students who felt bored more often than not, and then maybe you had a group of students who you felt were repeatedly frustrated and you weren't quite sure how to support them, then this video is for you. Because in this video, we are going to talk about that sweet spot, that area between boredom and frustration that is really the optimal place for students to learn. And then, not too long ago, I got to interview Christy from Team Mix and Math. She came on and she talked about how brain research can inform what we do in the classroom, and she talked about the zone of proximal discomfort. And the model for the zone of proximal discomfort is a bell curve, and there are 3 sections there. The first section is that comfort zone. That is where we often see boredom. Students are not challenged, they are just comfortable. And it's not that this zone is bad in any way, it's just not optimal for learning. Now, on the other side of the bell curve, there is the anxiety zone or the panic zone. Now, this is when students are frustrated, they're overwhelmed, they are demotivated, and this is also not a great space to be in when you are trying to learn. It often impacts students' attention and their working memory. But right in between the comfort zone and the panic zone is the learning zone or the growth zone or the zone of proximal discomfort. And this is that area that is just enough of a stretch for students. They're challenged, they're engaged, they are struggling, but not to the point that they fall in that panic zone. That is the sweet spot, and that is the spot that Peter Liljedahl refers to in his book as flow. Now, when students are in that sweet spot, you'll notice something. They are struggling, but they are struggling in a way that is productive, which we call productive struggle. Now, struggle in the classroom has a really bad reputation, especially in math classrooms. And we often feel like if students are struggling, we are doing something wrong as teachers, but that's actually not the case. When we think about math as something beyond just getting answers, and we think about the implications that math has in life outside the classroom, it involves a lot of sense making. And when we are making sense of something, there is a degree of struggle in that. So productive struggle is something that should be a part of the classroom, and it's what happens in that sweet spot, in that learning or growth zone. Now, simply knowing about this sweet spot, knowing about productive struggle, is not enough to obviously get students in there. It's a very intentional process to get students into that space of productive struggle, and it also requires prep work in the classroom. We have to build a community where students feel safe enough to struggle. They have to first see that struggle is a good thing, that it doesn't mean that they're not a great math student. It actually is a natural part of the classroom, and it's a natural part of life. So there are certain mindset shifts that have to happen for students, but that also have to happen for us as educators. So when we have those mindset shifts and students feel safe struggling in the classroom, then we have to shift practice a little bit and think about how do we modify tasks? How do we use the work that's in the curriculum in a way that is not telling students what to do, but allows them to make sense of math, allows them to engage in that productive struggle so that they have the understanding and the skill to continue to learn more and more advanced math concepts. It requires us knowing how to support students when they are in productive struggle, that they don't fall outside of that learning zone and fall into the panic zone. How do we keep students learning? This may sound like a lot, but it's so important that NCTM included it in one of its 8 effective teaching practices in mathematics. So if it's important enough to be in one of those 8 practices, then it's important enough for us to cover this summer in our annual summer book study. We are going to be going over the Productive Math Struggle book together. It's fantastic. It is so incredibly actionable, which is great because it says that it is an action plan for productive struggle, but it truly is actionable. It gives you activities and ideas that you can implement in the classroom as soon as you get back to school. It's very practical and walks you through how to do all of those things that I listed, including changing students' beliefs about struggle, changing your own beliefs about struggle, building the community, modifying lessons. There is so much in this book. Over the next 5 weeks, we will be reading 1 to 2 chapters each week and talking about our aha moments from that chapter over on YouTube. We will share our aha moments, we'll share questions, and then we will have a book chat each week with either one of the authors of the book or another educator in the math space. It's gonna be a great time. So whether you are somebody who's really questioning everything I'm saying and you're like, I don't know if struggle really belongs in the classroom, this is for you. We'll talk about what productive struggle is and what it isn't, because there's a lot of misconceptions around what productive struggle is in the classroom. And if you're somebody who is happy with the degree of productive struggle that is present in your classroom, I still think you should join us. There were so many aha moments that I had reading this book and things that I thought, I could have done this a lot better, or I never thought to do it like this. So be sure to go to mixandmath.com/book study to sign up for the book study that's completely free. Order your book, you will have to pay for that, and join us June 17th as we kick off our annual summer book study. I think you'll see that finding that sweet spot for learning will completely transform your classroom from the engagement perspective and also just the level at which students understand the math concepts they're learning. I hope you'll join us this summer.